as we get closer and closer to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, so cannot wait for that movie. Time to dive into Jurassic Park 3.
This is how you make dinosaurs?
No. This is how you play God.
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my theological analysis for Jurassic Park 3. This is not my favorite of the Jurassic Park movies.
Alan! Alan!
For a number of reasons. It just is not my favorite. But, as I've said before, the entire Jurassic Park franchise is a picture of the pride of man. And pride comes before a fall. Now, by the time you get to Jurassic Park 3, we're exploring a whole nother aspect of pride, where pride will absolutely test its limits and push itself over the edge, because that's what it does. So you have this kid, Eric Kirby, with his soon-to-be stepdad, parasailing where? Over freaking Death Island! At this point, it is known about Jurassic Park. It is public that people died in Jurassic Park. It is public that they tried to take a T-Rex off Site B and they brought it to San Diego and it ate people. So this is known. People die at this island. So this stepdad thinks, hey, what a great adventure with my small underage child. Let's take him to Death Island where dinosaurs eat people. Oh, we'll be fine. Right there is pride testing its limits, and then the people on the boat get eaten, the stepdad gets eaten, and Eric finds himself alone on an island. I mean, it's almost not even his fault. He probably should have said, hey, I don't want to go do that, but that's beside the point. Here he is now stuck on this island because pride continues to test its limits. We have Dr. Alan Grant, who gets drugged back into this by Mr. and Mrs. Kirby searching for their son, and when they land on the island, they make an important discovery. A Spinosaurus! And what's the big deal about the Spinosaurus, other than it eats the T-Rex in this movie? It's the fact that this dinosaur was not on InGen's list. So InGen's pride is continuing to push the limits. At this point, they've watched people die on Site A. They watch people die on Site B. Do they stop? Do they shut this down? Do they go, this is a terrible thing that we're doing? No! They keep pumping out new dinosaurs. The Spinosaurus is a brand new dinosaur on their list. So in their pride, they're testing their limits. They're pushing this as far as they could go. It makes me wonder, was Jurassic World in the works on the other island? Is that why they were creating new dinosaurs that weren't on the original list? It's one of those things that now in hindsight, I kind of wonder that. But the point is in their pride, rather than stopping, they kept going, pushing the limits. All the while, there's an enemy on this island that is more intelligent than anybody gives them credit for. The Velociraptor.
They can talk to each other.
To a degree we never imagined.
They set a trap. They actually set a trap.
So here, all this pride is pushing the limits and pushing people right over to the enemy, who is smart, who is intelligent, who wounded a person and threw them in the middle of the woods as a trap to draw out Alan Grant and his people so that they would come out and try to save them and the raptors would jump them right there. I mean, you have creatures this smart. They have social skills. They're able to talk and communicate to each other. They were extinct animals brought to life by man, so man assumes they're better than it, so they don't even think about it. But as they're pushing their pride to the limits here, they're pushing people into the hands of an enemy that is smarter than what they give that enemy credit for. So you have Billy, who in his genius is looking at Dr. Alan Grant, and he's looking at Alan Grant's dig that he's a part of, and he's like, gosh, we are so underfunded now that dinosaurs exist. You know what? I'm just gonna grab some Velociraptor eggs and sell them and make a ton of money. That is a brilliant idea. Yeah, all that did was drag raptors with them along the tour. They weren't on a tour. It drugged the raptors with them as they were trying to escape this island, and the raptors tracked them down because they had the raptor eggs. And Billy's like, I did this with the best of intentions, and I love what Alan Grant said.
Some of the worst things imaginable have been done with the best intentions.
Pride does that. When you look at Mr. and Mrs. Kirby, they're divorced. And I'm assuming pride had something to do with that. A lot of times in marriage, when it falls apart, it's because both have to be right, period. No one is able to admit I'm wrong, and because of that, pride continuing to get in the way, it comes to a fall. A house divided against itself won't stand. But here they are with their kid lost on this island. It's amazing how quickly Whatever pride caused them to separate, whatever thing stood between them was forgotten in light of things that are most important. But I think Mr. and Mrs. Kirby coming to that island after their kid is another great picture of something else. So if you look at Eric, alone on this island with dinosaurs that are intelligent like the velociraptors, whose only plan is to devour that kid as if it's just a food source. If you look at this world, it's like we are that kid. And if you look at the devil, it's like he's that velociraptor.
Alan!
And like that kid, it's like we're alone on the island and these things are stalking us. And sometimes in our pride, we forget how intelligent he can be and we play right into his hands. And through pride, we continue to give him a place and a foothold in our lives. But when you look at Mr. and Mrs. Kirby, they could represent Jesus, who came into this island no matter how dangerous it is, no matter how bad it was, no matter what dumb mistakes placed us there in the enemy's hands, no matter what stupidity put us there, Jesus came and he saved us. And he did it at the expense of his own life. Mr. and Mrs. Kirby, they were laying down their lives to come and save their son. That's how much their son meant to them. I'm sure their son drove them nuts. There was times where he's not the most perfect angel. Did you think they cared? They didn't care. They weren't going into that island to hold his sins over his head. They were going to that island to save him from being devoured by dinosaurs. Jesus didn't come into this world to condemn us. He didn't come to this world to condemn you and me. He came to this world to save you and me so that we don't get devoured by the enemy. Through pride, we give that enemy place. Through pride, we play right into the hands of an enemy that's more intelligent than what we realize. But through humility, when we submit to God, we submit to a power that is so much greater that the enemy, he's like a dead flea trying to come up against a full-grown bull elephant. There's no contest there. So when we submit to God, we come under the safety of his hand and he lifts us up in due time. That doesn't mean in this world we don't have trouble, but when we submit ourselves to him, we do come under his protection. Jesus came into this world to save us the way Mr. and Mrs. Kirby came into the island to save their son. You and I, we can't let pride get in the way of coming to him who gave everything to save us. We can't let pride get in the way of the good things he wants to offer us. And just as when, in the light of what's most important, Mr. and Mrs. Kirby dropped whatever separated them and they got back together, in light of what's most important, drop whatever's separating you from God and come and experience the love that he has for you. If you watched Jurassic Park III, what did you think of this movie? Are you excited for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian and hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified the very next time I drop another theological analysis, movie review, ranking video, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.